All right. Floor is open. So let's see. Win.
Hey, Mark.
Hi.
So some of the things that kind of went through my mind and that I heard, um, one idea is this idea of being able to change your mind when you have a conviction about something, and then you realize as more things come to light that you may not have gotten it right.
Right. So you may not have gotten it completely right.
You may not have gotten it completely right, and so there. And then the related idea um, of having a conviction that you're right about something, and being dead certain that you're right about something, and it often is maybe somebody else has the opposite point of view, and you're trying to either prove them wrong or something, and then you realize you're wrong. And, you know that these are the things that I was thinking about as I was listening to you. I think what I heard you say was to sort of have faith, and I don't know, it's like an intelligence that's behind that level of right and wrong, or, and maybe trusting in that it's okay to change your mind sometimes.
It's okay to change your mind. It's actually even okay to come off looking like an idiot, after you've insisted something and then you find out you're wrong. What is it that just kind of allows us to drop that and laugh at ourselves versus, create a whole lot more suffering out of it? There's a faith there. I'm not sure what it's a faith in, but it's not a faith in our infallibility. It's certainly not that.
Mm.
There's some
Yeah.
kind of trust that allows us to be wrong. And even be spectacularly wrong.
Yeah, there's an imperfection in memory, right? We misremember things, it turns out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we also misperceive things, or at least I do. You see something, or it's not there,
or you get emotion mixed in. I mean, it's quite eye-opening to do some couples counseling and, have two members of a couple tell you about an event. And you end up at the end wondering if it was even the same event. Because the accounts are so widely different. And even the facts that they're presenting, according to memory, are so divergent. It's just like, it's humbling. I have to say, it's really humbling to realize it's not that they're manifesting some personal pathology. They're manifesting the human condition in a certain way.
Mm.
That's really humbling. The two people can be in the same experience and remember it so differently and account for it so differently and apply such a different meaning to it. And there's something about that, what should I say, being an aggravated couple, if that term makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And I think anybody who's ever been in a couple situation knows what I mean, because there are times when you're in this aggravated state. And the divergence of the experiences and the way they don't cohere are just really astonishing. So yes, thank you for underlining that. When it's there's a kind of faith that one has in this whole thing, without trying to do something like give up your opinions or give up your memories and just cede it to someone else. There I am raising my hand again. Whatever that thing is, that humility thing, I would apply the word faith to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Zoe.
Yeah, something that just came to mind after hearing Wynn speak is the connection between faith and curiosity. And I feel like for me, a lot of the time, what helps me get through conflict and stressful situations is like this genuine curiosity for like the truth of the situation and feeling like that it's out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can kind of like let myself be wrong because like I'm more curious about what is the most true. And I'm so grateful for that curiosity.
Beautiful. You know, you're making me think of the root of the meaning Dharma. You know, sometimes the word Dharma is translated as truth, but I think it means what you're talking about. This sort of interest in, curious in kind of the underlying truth of things. Not truth like an opinion, but, and one of the translations of the root is that which sustains itself. You know, the truth sustains itself. It doesn't rely on my kind of being adamant about my opinion. The truth of a situation, the truth of experience, it sustains itself. So your curiosity that you bring into situations of, you know, difficulty, challenge, there's a kind of a trust in the underlying truth. You'll see the underlying truth there. Beautiful. Dharma is such a hard word to translate. It has so many meanings. You know, sometimes I explain that I'm a Dharma teacher to people who aren't at all familiar with Buddhism, and they like want to know what that is. And there's always this moment of, how do I explain this? What's the truth? What's the truth that I'm teaching? You know, basic truths of experience. It's a little hard to put one's finger on in a verbal way. All right, anyone else? I think you raised your hand, Marcia.
An image I was getting when I was listening to you was, you know, you were talking about two different people who can have such divergent perceptions of the same experience, and not being attached to my own personal, you know, sense of what's really going on, that behind me is this bigger mind, this bigger reality of being. And, you know, Zoe, when you talked about curiosity, to me, that sort of opens my mind. It's not fixed, it opens to a bigger possibility.
Wonderful. Yeah. Not a fixed point of view, but a higher intelligence. Yes. We get kind of hunkered down, you know, that's part of the thing the mind does. It's part of the grasping, which is the root of suffering, is the mind like will hold on to something. And when we let go, it's like we trust. I like your image here somewhere.
Trust. Like a backdrop that's like bigger.
like a
Yeah.
backdrop. Yeah, backdrop. There's a there's a visceral bodily kind of feeling to this, that I get when what I call rest is there's a way that one almost kind of goes back into the back body and feels supported by something behind. And when you're kind of anxious and holding on, there's a leaning forward, there's a kind of wrestling, there's a gripping. But the actual visceral experience of trust is this kind of not leaning back and falling over, but almost feeling like there's something supporting you behind. I notice, especially with the heart center, that there's a kind of a back of the heart I talk about sometimes, where you can relax into the back of the heart. And I put my hand down fast enough, it won't put the hand up. It's interesting. There's a back to the heart. There's this, just the way we are constructed as beings, we have this sense of the back of our body as the unseen. And yet, oddly, that unseen supports us. It's got our back. That's at least how I experience it in a very visceral way. And for a while in my sitting, I would consciously experience a sense energetically of there being kind of like an opening out the back of the heart into nothingness behind me. And that nothingness behind me, unlike the word nothingness that sounds like, well, gee, that wouldn't support you, nothingness. The felt sense of it actually was quite different. The felt sense of that nothingness was something I could trust, something that was actually there supporting my heart in this case, supporting my being. So thank you. Yeah, that's really a very helpful image.
When you were using the word nothingness, a word
Mhm.
that came to me is actually presence.
Yes, they're the same thing.
So it's aliveness and presence
Yes,
in space.
aliveness and presence. Yes, that's actually what the word nothingness means. Emptiness. It's an aliveness, it's a presence. It's the inclusiveness of the heart, inclusiveness of sympathetic understanding. Because it's empty, it's inclusive of everything. It sounds strange in English. It actually does, but it's the meaning of emptiness, nothingness. Thank you. It's such a rare and wonderful thing to talk about these things, Catalina.
One thing, I was in a retreat that we were talking a lot about the body. And something that was very beautiful for me was putting together the explanation that you gave about the experience of someone in the group being in nature, how much it was like a transformative and so diluting of the self when we're in nature. And one of the comments that you said was that nature doesn't have ego.
Mm-hmm.
And being in this retreat and feeling that the body is also nature is
Yes.
So in a way, like we are kind of equally to a tree or a plant or an animal,
Yeah.
So it felt so amazing going into the body, feeling that lack of ego, lack of being able to, that really is a refuge. It's a refuge in the sense that your sense of self is it kind of like I don't say it's deluded, but being part of nature, it gives a sense of the hugeness of being, that when we are in a little self, in a little being that we think we are this person, like you said, like you have this opinion and suddenly, whoa, that opinion is not true, you know. So I love that feeling, that being able to be that this body is just a tree. It's just like a tree.
I love that.
I wanted to share that.
Thank you, Catalina.
Mm-hmm.
This body is just like a tree. Our ambition is to become just like a tree. Yeah. Our delusion is that we're separate from nature. And part of that is our delusion that we're superior to other creatures. And there's great peace in the recognition that one is totally nature. Great peace in that. There's a peace that makes it kind of okay to die, right?
Yeah, I was about like being just nature, being just a body. Also, it brings me a friend of mine who died last year, my same age, and he chose to be buried in his next to his house, next to his cabin. And that image of his body being decomposed, his choice being decomposed right next to his house, is so grounding, so grounding, so to earth about what we are. And I felt it like a gift that he gave his friends about, this is what we are. This is nature.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I'm still here as my body gets dissolved back into the earth.
Yeah.
It's where I came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very different than put a steel box around it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I can feel the retreat in you still. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very, very, very quiet and neat. Amazing being part of the body. Like, go back to the body, because the body doesn't have ego. So it cannot be wrong. It's not wrong, because there is not a sense of self that at the lake is, we are part of conditions. So it's beyond what we are as a being. We have been built. So, and it was so beautiful for me to go to the woods, and as you taught us to feel the energy of the trees.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I felt like people go to museum to see paintings and everything, and I went to the woods to see the trees and see the skin of every tree, the roots of the tree, how they intertwined with each other. So it was very special to be with that vision of being in nature, a way of the thing, the hardness of doing, and have to be a being, and have to be a person, and have to be a personality, and protect that personality, protect that person who you are, that image who you are. So it was very special.
I can see the joy in your eyes as you're talking about it. It
Yeah.
communicates a lot. So thank you
Thank you
for sharing with us.